A lot of people say that the truth about you or your true character is shown when you're put into high pressure situations. Some people excel when the stakes are high, when the pressure is mounting. Others will just wilt and roll over dead. Some people just aren't built to deal with high pressure situations. Sunday afternoon, we witnessed a complete collapse by the Houston Texans. You can blame the players all you want, but the blame lies on the shoulders of head coach Bill O'Brien. I've never been a fan of Bill O'Brien. I think he is in the bottom tier of NFL head coaches. Now, he isn't as bad as somebody like Freddie Kitchens, but there's 15, 20, maybe 25 other guys that I'd rather have coaching my team over Bill O'Brien. There's many ways that you can judge the effectiveness or the greatness of a head coach. One way that I like to determine how great an NFL head coach is what happens when your starting quarterback is lost to injury. Do you find ways to win, to lead your team, or does your team fall apart? Bill Belichick lost Tom Brady for the season in week 1 about 10 or 11 years ago. He inserts Matt Castle into the starting lineup. Patriots still make the playoffs. Drew Brees was lost for 5 weeks this season. Sean Payton leads the Saints to a 5-0 record in his absence. Hell, Mike Tomlin had a quarterback rotation this season. It was like a Major League Baseball starting pitcher rotation. And he still had the Steelers in the playoff hunt until the very end. Back in 2017, Deshaun Watson's rookie season, the Texans lose him midway through the season. I think it was week 7 or so. When Deshaun Watson went down, their record was 3-3. After his injury, they went 1-9 the rest of the year. One of the biggest criticisms of Bill O'Brien during his 6-year tenure in Houston is that his teams are often unprepared, especially in the playoffs. 2015, they win the division. Home playoff game, blown out 30-0 by Kansas City. Wild card weekend this year, he was completely outcoached by Sean McDermott. Buffalo lost that game. Houston did not win it. All that looked to be forgotten in the first quarter Sunday in Kansas City. The Texans build an early 24-0 lead. People on Twitter were high on the Texans. Deshaun Watson's unbeatable. Andy Reid is choking again. It was laughable. Because if you followed Bill O'Brien throughout his career in Houston, then you knew that he was only one bad decision away from fucking everything up. And it didn't take long for it to happen. Texans have a 21-0 lead, ball in the red zone, 4th and about a foot. You take a 28-0 lead here, the game is over. Texans line up on 4th down to go for it. Bill O'Brien gets cold feet, calls a timeout, kicks a field goal. Couple of things. First, your quarterback is Deshaun Watson. Your offense has been moving the ball with ease. Your defense has been stuffing Kansas City. This is one of those calls that tells your team whether or not your coach trusts this offense, trusts his quarterback. Apparently, Bill O'Brien didn't. Secondly, if you're going to kick the field goal, why waste the timeout? You're basically kicking an extra point. Take the 5-yard penalty instead of wasting the timeout. But Bill O'Brien's poor decision-making only got worse. Early in the second quarter, Houston's up 24-7. They have the ball in their own territory on 4th down. And Bill O'Brien decides to fake punt. Chiefs snip it out quickly. That one play, that one bad decision, changed the entire course of Houston's postseason. Kansas City, like I said, had struggled to move the ball against the Texans defense the entire first quarter. Now, some of that can be attributed to the Chiefs receivers constantly dropping passes. Some of it was on the Houston defense. But the Texans held all the momentum at this point in the game. The crowd was out of it at this point. Kansas City couldn't do anything right. But all Andy Reid had to do was wait. And Bill O'Brien gifted him a playoff win. That one bad call shifted all momentum towards Kansas City. Suddenly the crowd is back into the game. They're excited again. A few plays later, Chiefs get a touchdown. It's 24-14. Next thing you know, Texans fumble the kickoff, 24-21. It was the worst decision by a coach that I've seen this postseason. You know you have one of the worst defenses in the league, but they're playing well on the road in a hostile environment. The job of your head coach is to put your team in the best position to win. And once again, Bill O'Brien failed miserably at doing that. After that fake punt, you could see the energy immediately deflated on the Texans sideline. A few minutes earlier, they were over there playing the air guitar. They're high-fiving each other, acting like they just clinched a berth in the Super Bowl. And with a 24-0 lead in the second quarter, it should have been over. NFL teams don't give up 24-point leads unless they're coached by Bill O'Brien. I told you before the playoffs started that I thought O'Brien would be on the hot seat with another early playoff exit. I know fans in Houston were all excited after the win against Buffalo, but like I said earlier, the Bills lost that game. Houston didn't win it. I think we're on the precipice in Houston of a situation very similar to what we just saw with Jason Garrett in Dallas. A team that continuously underachieves. Top 5 quarterback, top 5 receiver. One of the best defenders in the league in J.J. Watt. Yet year after year, this team chokes in the playoffs. I was talking to one of my friends Sunday afternoon before the game, and he was talking about how great Deshaun Watson is. And he liked the Texans to win this game because of Deshaun Watson. And we're talking back and forth, and I told him that I think Deshaun Watson is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But I have no faith in this Texans team because they don't have the head coach. I have no faith in Bill O'Brien. Now, obviously, they need to make a change at defensive coordinator. Romeo Crennel's history. But if this team doesn't make a deep playoff run next season, or worse, doesn't even make the playoffs, then I think Bill O'Brien's gone. And the AFC South is going to be tough next season. Tennessee is surging. The Colts get a quarterback, and they're right in the thick of it. And both have coaches that can coach circles around the coach that the Texans have. All right, behind the line number 41, I'm your host, KC. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. Leave a 5-star rating on iTunes. I appreciate you guys that have already done so. I'm actually going to talk about the national championship game later on tonight. I'm actually recording this podcast Monday night as the game's going on, so I'll get my thoughts on the national championship up late tomorrow night. What another wild weekend we had in the NFL. I already talked about the wildest game of the weekend earlier between Houston and Kansas City. This has been the best NFL season in years. The league is so competitively balanced. Ratings are through the roof. And my dark horse team is in the AFC Championship. I told you guys before the season started that Tennessee would make a surge with Ryan Tannehill. They shocked the world Saturday night in their win at Baltimore. And it wasn't just a win either. It was a complete beatdown of the supposed best team in the league. I gotta admit, even I was surprised with the Titans. When previewing the game last week, I liked them to cover the 10-point spread, but I thought Baltimore would win in a close game. Tennessee dominated that game from the opening kickoff. The Titans are dangerous. This team has taken on the identity of their head coach, Mike Vrabel. My concerns about them coming out flat due to the emotional win at New England in the wild card round last week ended up being completely wrong. Mike Vrabel, unlike Bill O'Brien, had his team ready. Can't say the same for the Ravens. I know teams yearn for that bye week to open up the playoffs, recover from injuries, get their bodies an extra week of rest, but I don't know. I think a bye week can actually be detrimental. And we saw it twice this weekend. Kansas City started slow, flat, rusty, whatever you want to call it. Penalties, drop passes, turnovers. Baltimore started slow and never got into a rhythm. A lot of that had to do with the Tennessee defense, but I don't think the bye week and the extra rest did them any favors. Lamar Jackson hadn't played since December 22nd, week 16. Same with Mark Ingram. When you're a hot team, the last thing you want or need is time off. It halts all your momentum. Lamar Jackson also made a mistake that you see a lot in young quarterbacks. He allowed the Titans defense to get him frustrated. For the first time this season, he faced a little bit of adversity. They were down, big, and it affected his game. As great as Lamar Jackson is, he is still extremely limited as a pocket passer. You're not going to win many games with him throwing the ball 59 times. 6 times this season, he's thrown 30 or more passes in a game. Baltimore's 3-3 in those games. When he has less than 30 attempts, the Ravens are 10-0. This might be the best season Lamar Jackson ever has. If he doesn't develop some type of consistency in the pocket, he's not going to have any longevity in this league. I know everyone is talking about mobile quarterbacks being the future of the NFL, but at the end of the day, if you can't throw the ball out of the pocket, you're not going to last long. Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, both guys are mobile quarterbacks. They can make plays with their legs. Russell Wilson. What do all three of those guys have in common? They have a pass-first mentality. They can all throw it in the pocket. If the play breaks down, then they run. The bottom line is, you can't take hits like Lamar Jackson has taken this year and have a 15-year career in the NFL. That's why the average running back has a 3-year career. Your body breaks down. There's only so many hits that you can take. I'm not sitting here bagging on Lamar Jackson. He's a great player. He was much better in the passing game this year than he was last year, but he's still got a long way to go. Anyway, back to the Titans. Tennessee's a dangerous team. They play old school smash mouth football. They grind you down with Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill is doing all that he's being asked to do. Manage the game. Take care of the ball. Lamar Jackson had twice as many passing attempts Saturday night than Tannehill's had the entire playoffs. He's only thrown for 160 yards in 2 playoff games. This Titans team reminds me of the 2011 Giants or the 2012 Ravens. The 2011 Giants entered the playoffs 9-7. Like Tennessee, they were 6-5 going into the last quarter or so of the season. No one gave the 2011 Giants a chance to win the Super Bowl. Eli Manning got hot, their defense got hot, and they rode that momentum to a championship. We could be witnessing that same thing with the Titans. Derrick Henry's rolling. No one in the league can stop him right now. Tennessee's defense is playing with fire in their eyes, only giving up 25 points in the playoffs, held the number 1 offense in the league to 12 points on the road. It would not surprise me if they went into Kansas City next week and won. On the NFC side, the football gods have gifted the San Francisco 49ers a spot in the Super Bowl, in my opinion. The only 2 teams that could beat them are eliminated. Saints lose at home last week, and then Seattle couldn't get past Green Bay Sunday night. You've got to credit Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. What they accomplished this season with this depleted roster is nothing short of amazing. Every running back they have is on IR. Defensive injuries, Jadeveon Clowney's been playing injured. Russell Wilson's best receiver is a fucking rookie. He literally carried this team to the divisional round of the playoffs and nearly to an NFC Championship game. Marshawn Lynch was pretty much a non-factor, even though he had a couple of short touchdown runs Sunday night. At the end of the day, Seattle's defense just could not get off the field on 3rd down. You're not going to win games when your opponent is 9 of 13 on 3rd down. I know the Packers have Aaron Rodgers, and make no mistake about it, Aaron Rodgers was fucking brilliant against Seattle. But I don't see any way Green Bay goes into San Francisco and wins. Seattle had a chance, only because San Francisco struggles defending against mobile quarterbacks like Russell Wilson. Green Bay is limited offensively. Outside of Devontae Adams, there's not much else for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. So the 49ers can double up on him if necessary. He's most likely going to be matched up with Richard Sherman. And they can take away the Packers' only threat in the passing game. All right, we'll talk about the conference championships more later on this week. Skip Bayless from FS1 made headlines over the weekend. I usually don't cover things like this, but I thought this was interesting because of the shit it caused. Friday night, the Lakers, led by LeBron James, no Anthony Davis, went into Dallas and beat the shit out of the Mavs. The game was pretty much over after the first quarter. Lakers had an 18-point lead, built that to 21 by halftime. I usually don't put too much stock in regular season games for veteran teams. But for young teams, it's a little bit different. This was a big game for Dallas. For LeBron, this was just another January game in the 17th season of his career. But for Dallas, it was a little different. Games like this in prime time on Friday night on ESPN, one of the best teams in the league coming to your house, a team that you've struggled against a little bit this year. These are the types of games where you expect your young superstars to shine. And Luka Doncic didn't. He had a bad game by any stretch, but he didn't look like the superstar level talent that is being hyped by the media. And it's not the first time this has happened this season either. Dallas has 4 losses this season by double digits. And most of those, Luka Doncic has struggled. 22 points and a 15-point loss to the Clippers in late November, where he shot 29% from the field, went 0 from 8 from beyond the arc. 19 points and a 13-point loss to the Lakers late last month, where once again struggled from the field, went 0 from 6 from 3. Apparently, Skip Bayless has noticed that Luka isn't quite the superstar level talent just yet either. He posted on Twitter Friday night, and I quote, "I'm sorry, I'm not seeing superstar in Luka, at least not yet. Don't see much defense or fourth quarter mental physical toughness." And Skip Bayless is right. But Luka Doncic is young. He's 20 years old. We shouldn't expect him to be a superstar level NBA talent right now. LeBron James struggled his first couple of years in the league. Same with Michael Jordan. You don't just step onto an NBA court at 19 years old and just take over the league. It takes years for that to develop. It took years for LeBron James to become the king of the NBA. You hardly ever see someone get drafted and win an NBA title in his first 2, 3, 4 seasons. Dwayne Wade led Miami to the title in his 3rd season, but that's kind of rare. It took Kobe 4 years. Took Shaq 8 years. Took LeBron damn near 10 years. I didn't have a problem with Skip Bayless' comments. I actually agree with it. I don't think he was being malicious. He was just starting shit. That's his job. He's made a career of doing that. But Sports Illustrated's Mike Fisher apparently didn't feel the same way I did. And he wrote a scathing piece on Skip Bayless. Called him a human hemorrhoid. Called him out for his weak high school basketball career. Not sure why that matters. It was kind of funny. He actually makes the point that with LeBron James aging, and Skip Bayless has been a frequent critic of LeBron since 2003, that he's now moving towards picking on Luka Doncic so he can keep his career alive. Anyway, in my opinion, it's harder now to be a professional athlete than at any other time in the history of sports, especially when you have the potential to be a superstar. Yeah, the pay is much better now than it was 20, 30 years ago, but everything these guys do is scrutinized. Back when Michael Jordan was starting his NBA career, all he had to do was worry about the media. He didn't have to worry about some asshole with a camera phone, taking pictures of him ordering Subway or McDonald's or gambling in the casino. He didn't have to worry about Twitter, Instagram, some guy on Fox Sports 1 that scrutinizes his every move like Skip Bayless had done LeBron James' entire career. It's not Luka Doncic's fault that the media and social media has hyped him up to be something that he's not just yet. He's a great basketball player. There's no doubt about it. But let's relax on crowning him the new king of the NBA. And I've been guilty of it in the past, so I'm calling myself out too. He's yet to win one playoff game. He's yet to even play in a playoff game. He hasn't proven anything yet in the NBA. All right, that's all for now. I'll be back later today to talk about the national championship game last night. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. Leave me a 5-star rating on iTunes. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. I will see you guys later on tonight.